Hello dear students. In last lecture, in the chapter Cell, the fundamental unit of life, we studied about the details of prokaryotic cell. Today, we will study the details of a eukaryotic cell. Like when we studied prokaryotic means cells having a primitive nucleus. Likewise, here we will study the cells having new nucleus. This word "eu" means new and "karyon" means nucleus. So, we will study about those cells which have well-developed nucleus. Before going into the details of the eukaryotic cell, let us first see the examples of eukaryotic cells. I have written here a plant cell, animal cell, fungal cell and all the cells of Protista. They all are eukaryotic because they have well-developed nucleus. Now when you talk about the details of eukaryotic cell, for the convenience, I have grouped them into three parts. What are they? First one is the membrane part of the cell, the outermost part, where there is a plasma membrane which is there in all the cells, but few cells have one additional layer, that is cell wall, and this cell wall may be different in different types of cells. If present, it might not be present, but if it is present, it may show variations. Then next group is cell organelles. These are the small machineries of the cell which are present in the cytoplasm. And in this also there is lot of variations. We will study about the double membrane cell organelles like mitochondria, plastids. We will study about the single membrane cell organelles like endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies, lysosomes, vacuoles, which forms the endomembrane system. And there are certain structures which don't even have a single membrane. So they are without membrane, like ribosomes, centrioles, microbodies. They do not have any membrane. Then the innermost structure is the nucleus, which is very well developed, having a nuclear envelope. Then there is the genetic material in the form of chromatins, and then there is again another structure called as nucleolus. So we will study about all these parts of the eukaryotic cell in detail. But before going into the details, let us categorize two basic types of the eukaryotic cells, that is a plant cell and animal cell. How do they differ? Let's find out. I have drawn two cells. This one is a plant cell and this is animal cell. Let us study them one by one and then we will differentiate it. Let us first study about the animal cell. If you see an animal cell, the structure of animal cell is more of an oval or spherical, and it has got only one covering which is called as cell membrane or plasma membrane. But at times this cell membrane may be folded into small finger-like structures called microvilli. The nucleus in an animal cell is central. It is centrally located. Well-developed nucleus with nucleolus, chromatin, and there are nuclear pores. If you talk about the cell organelle, the animal cell has got well-developed mitochondria. There is a network of tube-like structure called as endoplasmic reticulum. Then it has got Golgi complex, well-developed Golgi complex, and lysosomes, as well as vacuoles, which are very small and many in number. and it has got a special structure called as centriole. Now if you move to a plant cell. Now look at the plant cell. Plant cell is more of a polygonal structure. It is angular structure. And if you talk about the membranes, the plant cell has got an additional layer called as cell wall. Now look at this diagram very carefully. The structure of this membrane, there are cell wall and cell membrane. And these plant cells are attached to each other. They are not suspended as in case of animal cell. These plant cells are attached to each other. Now if you see the color combination I have used three colors. One is the green color, black color and red color. So green color depicts the cell wall. Red color is the cell membrane. And between two green colors, or you can say between two cells, there is a cementing layer, here black color, which is called as middle lamella. So middle lamella is a cementing layer made up of calcium pactate, which holds the two cell walls together. And inner to the cell wall is the cell membrane. Now you can see there are certain gaps which I have drawn. These gaps are called as plasmodesmata. At these places there is no cell wall. So the communication between two cells is through this plasmodesmata. Clear? Then if you look at the nucleus, here I told you the nucleus is central. But in a plant cell, the nucleus is peripheral. Why? It is because the vacuoles of a plant cell are very large and the membrane of the vacuole is called tonoplast. In fact, about 90% of the total space of the cytoplasm is occupied by the vacuoles. So these vacuoles, they push the nucleus towards one side. Therefore, these nucleus in the plant cells are peripheral. Apart from nucleus, there is a well-developed endoplasmic reticulum. There are structures called as Golgi apparatus, lysosomes, mitochondria are also there, and a spatial structure that is called plastid, which gives a characteristic color to the plant cell. Okay, so now if you compare these two, plant cells and animal cells, what are the differences? Differences are, first, plant cell has got cell wall, which is absent here. Plastids are present, plastids are absent here. The shape of the plant cell is polygonal, or you can say angular, whereas here it is more of an oval structure. Now the nucleus in plant cell is peripheral, whereas nucleus is central. Vacuoles, though vacuoles are present in both, here the vacuoles is very large, 1 or 2 in number. Here vacuoles are many, but very small and dispersed throughout the cell. Plastids are present only in plant cell, which are absent in animal cell. Centriole is present only in animal cell, absent in plant cell. There is difference in terms of mitochondria also. Though mitochondria are present in both plant cell as well as animal cell, but the mitochondria, number of mitochondria and the structure of mitochondria is more and complex in animal cell as compared to plant cell. Why? Because the energy demand of animal cell is always more than a plant cell. Now if you talk about the Golgi bodies are also present in both, but the Golgi body in an animal cell is highly complex. That's why we call it as Golgi complex. Whereas here The Golgi bodies are simpler and we call them as Golgi apparatus. Fine. And microvilli are present in animal cell which are absent in plant cell. Plasmodesmata are present in plant cell which are absent in animal cell. So there are a lot of similarities and many differences also. So we will study the individual parts together in detail. Today I will take up only the membrane part. So we will study about the cell wall and cell membrane in detail. Let's study first about the cell wall. So now let us study the cell wall in more detail. We will study cell wall in terms of three parts. One is its composition, structure and functions. First is composition. Though I told you that cell wall is present only in plant cell, but even the fungi is also a eukaryotic cell. It also has a cell wall. But the composition of cell wall in fungus is little different from plant cell. Like in plant cell, the cell wall is composed of cellulose, hemicellulose or lignin. Whereas in case of fungi, the cell wall is made up of chitin. So this is the difference. Even when we studied about the algae has also different types of composition in its cell wall. Like we studied algine and pectin, mannan. So they are modified cellulose only. So cellulose and its derivatives. Fine. Now second is structure. When you talk about the structure of the cell wall may be primary cell wall, secondary cell wall or tertiary cell wall. How are they different? All plant cells will have primary cell wall. Primary cell wall is always made up of cellulose only, which will be present in all plant cells, and it is present in the most new cell. But as the cell gets older, it requires more protection. It starts producing more deposition, and that additional support is in the form of secondary cell wall or tertiary cell wall. If you see this diagram, here again I told you I have used three colors. One is black for middle lamella M, cementing layer, and green will be present on both the sides of the middle lamella, because middle lamella is a cementing layer which cements two primary cell walls of neighboring cells. Then red color denotes the cell membrane. But in between the primary cell wall and cell membrane, when the cell gets older, it starts depositing more layers, which may be of hemicellulose or lignin. They are called as secondary cell wall or tertiary cell wall. The blue color which I have drawn. Okay. So, and in between, when there are no cell wall present, there are small channels which are called as plasmodesmata. Now, what are the functions of a cell wall? Cell wall has many functions. First, it gives a particular shape to the cell. Then, it is protective in nature, mainly protects the plant from mechanical injuries, and also it prevents the entry of undesirable molecules and infections. And cell to cell interaction is also maintained by the cell wall. So the first and the outermost layer is cell wall. Next layer is cell membrane. Now the next membrane is the cell membrane or plasma membrane. Here also we will study it in terms of its composition, structure and functions. So first is composition. Cell membrane is basically composed of phospholipids and proteins. Apart from it, there is small amount of oligosaccharides and cholesterol also. Next is structure. The composition of cell membrane was known for a very long time. But when it comes to structure, many scientists believe that the structure is a rigid structure. Many models were given and they described it in the form of a rigid structure just like cell wall. But in 1972, Singer and Nicholson studied the cell membrane under electron microscope and they came out with a very revolutionary model which is known as fluid mosaic model. Fluid mosaic model states that the plasma membrane or the cell membrane is a quasi-fluid structure. It is not rigid. It is more of a liquid structure, quasi-fluid. And they compared it in terms of a sea of lipid where protein icebergs are floating. They compared it like that. So they said that there are phospholipids which are present in the form of bilayer, which are liquid. And in that liquid, there are different types of proteins floating. These proteins may be peripheral proteins or extrinsic proteins, or there may be integral proteins or intrinsic proteins which are acting like a tunnel protein. Also, there are small amounts of oligosaccharides which are acting as receptors. So nowadays, this model is accepted. This explains how the plasma membrane or cell membrane functions. Now let us come to the function. There are innumerable functions of plasma membrane or cell membrane. Let us see them. Cell membrane is a selectively permeable membrane. We say it is SPM, selectively permeable or semi-permeable. What does it mean? It means that it will allow only a specific types of molecule to enter. This is basically because of these, you can see the oligosaccharide receptors are there. If receptors for a particular component or ions are there, it will allow. If the receptors are not there, it will not allow. So it is called selectively permeable membrane. Next, it helps in transportation. Now transportation is a big word, and this transportation of different types in a cell which may be categorized into passive transportation and active transportation. Passive transportation means the transportation which does not require any energy, or it is down the concentration gradient from high concentration to low concentration without the use of any ATP. So that is passive transportation. Passive transportation again can be of different types. It may be a simple diffusion. Diffusion means moving of the particles from high concentration to low concentration. This is called downhill movement. So these particles may be the solid particles, liquid or gas particles. So it is diffusion and it does not require any energy. Next is osmosis. Osmosis is also a type of diffusion, but it's a specialized diffusion where there is only the movement of water across the membrane. That is from a region of high concentration of water to a region of low concentration of water, means where water is more to the area where water is less across a cell membrane is called osmosis. So this is second type of passive transportation. Third is facilitated diffusion. Facilitated diffusion means diffusion will take place from high concentration to low concentration, but it will be very specific. It will transport through a transport protein, but it will not require any ATP. Okay, so that is called facilitated diffusion. So it is also a passive transport. Then there are active transportation. Active transportations are called uphill transportation, where there is the movement of particles from its low concentration towards its high concentration. But this can take place only when ATP or energy is used. So there are many ion exchange pumps operating in the cell, like sodium potassium exchange pump, hydrogen potassium exchange pump, like this. Okay, so this is the active transportation. We will study it in other chapter. Then next is cell division. The function of the plasma membrane or cell membrane is there in cell division, because in cell division the cell has to divide into two parts. If the membrane is not flexible, it will break. So the flexibility of the membrane helps in dividing the cell into two parts, and it also helps in protection of the cell. So with this we complete the cell membrane. Today we have studied the difference between a plant cell and animal cell, and we have studied in detail the structure and composition and function of cell wall and cell membrane. I hope you have understood this. This diagram of fluid mosaic model is extremely important from exam point of view. So please practice them, go through them. If you have any doubts, please you can ask me. Thank you very much.